What's going on, guys? It's your boy Nate. We're going to jump into today's video, which is going to be about women and what I've learned over the last 27 years. Things I wish I would have done differently and things that, well, are just the way they are. So, guys, a little quick overview here. This channel is pretty much about women and people and, just trying to understand the world a little bit better. But there is a lot of focus on women because a lot of guys, let's face it, a lot of guys want to have a wife, they want to have a family, they want to be able to find a good woman, the right woman. They want to be able to find somebody who they're compatible with, right? And I think it's really important because these days, man, we live in some crazy times and nothing's as it seems anymore, right? It seems like a majority of marriages are ending in divorce now. There's no sanctity of marriage, right? Families being ripped apart, torn apart in a matter of seems like most marriages aren't even making it a decade anymore, right? Even the marriages that make it to 20 plus years, I've seen so many accounts and videos and comments of guys who are saying that they found out that their loving, faithful wife of 20 plus years wasn't as loving and faithful as they thought they were. So, guys, it's a wild world, man. It's a wild west out there when it comes to dating. And I think every piece of advice, right, every experience should be shared because people need to know, right? The truth needs to be out there. The truth sets you free, right? John 8:32. But I'm not here to be super religious or preach to y'all. I'm here to talk about women. So what are some things I've learned? What are some things I've experienced over the last 27 years, right? So guys, long story short, I was the oldest of three brothers. I grew up in a pretty structured environment, right? I went to church for, 19 years, just one denomination. It was like Reformed Baptist, if y'all know what that is, pretty close to Southern Baptist. And I was basically taught to, which this is true, right? Treat women with respect, be nice, be chivalrous, all these things. Well, I was taught a lot about masculinity, but I felt like there was always something lacking. There was always something that I wasn't being told about, and I didn't really know what it was, right? I never understood, what is this missing piece? And I started to pick up on things. And I was always the guy, man. I was always the nice, easygoing, non-confrontational, not going to make a big deal out of anything. Always trying to be nice, right? Always trying to get with women. I thought that I could be nice. I thought that I could be... I don't even know, guys. I fell into the trap where I just thought by being nice and having a smile on my face that women would just flock to me, right? That didn't happen. There was some girls, obviously, out there that liked me. And, guys, there's women out there, believe it or not, who will like you. I truly believe and even then, there's still guys who can be 400 plus pounds and have nothing going on in their lives, and there will be a woman out there for them. It's crazy. But the crazy thing about women, guys, is you can never quite put your finger on them. And there's been a lot of videos made about this. There's been a lot of things said when it comes to women, right? There's been countless videos talking about how women, basically, they change by the day, right? If they feel something different one day, they can act on it. And it's true because society, especially Western society, sort of allows it, right? They sort of reward it. If you feel like your husband isn't treating you right, if there's any sort of conflict, if there's anything going wrong, well, you're told pretty much divorce him, find someone new, find someone that you deserve, right? Go get it, girl. Get the bag, get the man that you desire, right? Every woman wants what was that guy from that movie, Captain America, dude? My mind's going blank. I can't think of his name. Shoot, but you know what I'm talking about. Every woman wants the multi-millionaire Hollywood star, and they're told that that's what they deserve, that, nothing less. And it's funny because us men are told something completely different. We're told to basically be happy with what you got, settle, sacrifice everything. And it's wild, guys. It's truly wild how things are so backwards in a lot of ways. And things, I think, are changing for the better. I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think things are starting to turn back around. I hope they keep going that way. But guys, women, when I was growing up, I had a couple girlfriends in my later teen years. Never really went anywhere. I didn't know how to have a relationship. No one ever told me what it meant to be a man. I was always taught to be nice, right? But then I would see these guys around me who would be what I would consider a jerk or an asshole. And I'll be like, dude, what? Am I missing something here? And sometimes, like, these girls would go for these guys, but they wouldn't stay with them for very long. And I was like, man, like, what's the catch here, right? And then I would come across these guys, and you probably know what I'm talking about. You come across these, man, I call them studs, dude. Like, these guys who, they're fit, they have a family, they are constantly grinding, they are a solid guy, they know when to be kind, they know when to be playful, like with their kids, they know when to be loving with their wife, but they also know how to be stern, they also know how to protect people, how to provide, how to be influential, how to stand up for what's right, those just all-around solid dudes. And I think we've lost a lot of that in society these days, man. And if it's one thing, man, well, there's several things I could say. Guys, it's one of the things I learned about through women, especially in my later teens and early 20s when I was really dating. Man, all I cared about was women, partying, going out, women. Did I mention women? I mean, it was all about women. It was all about women. Everything was about women. And I remember my first real girlfriend in college, man. We got along pretty well, but there was so many red flags, so many things that didn't work out. And looking back, I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe I did that, But, hindsight's 2020. And it's funny because even though she was my first real girlfriend, there's some memories and things that I miss, but I really don't miss her. I know a lot of guys talk about how their first girlfriend is just whoa, was everything. But I guess for me, once I actually realized everything that was once I realized the big picture and I realized we just weren't compatible and how the relationship was more or less a dumpster fire, it wasn't a big deal. I got out of it and I quickly jumped into the dating world, and I found women who actually wanted to be with me, who respected me, who showed me the time of day, who wanted to be around me, who just could have fun, who treated me 100 times better, right? And the common theme, guys, throughout that time when I just obsessed about women, everything in my life for a good, I would say about 5-ish years, I was so set on getting a woman because, again, I came from that church environment. I came from that environment where you're told to get a woman. If you're not married by your early 20s, people start kind of looking at you kind of weird, dude, what's wrong? You can't provide for a family, you're not good enough for a girl, what's going on here? It's a weird thing. And my thing, and I remember literally being in church, I was 6 years old looking around, and I told my mom, I was like, I'm never getting married. And she's like, stop, of course you're gonna get married. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna get married. And I've always been picky. It's not even just looks, I've always just been picky with who I get with, who I'm in a relationship with. Because guys, even though I dated a lot of women, even though had a lot of just good and bad times with women, the one thing across the board is compatibility. And so many guys, we've bought into this lie, and again, I think this is changing for the better, but we've bought into the lie that we either just need to get married and find someone and settle down because that's the right thing to do, that's what men do, and of course everybody wants kids, so, well, most people do, and so we're told to do that. And a lot of women out there, believe it or not, it's kind of crazy, but a lot of women just want to have babies. They just want to have kids. Well, guys, you got to think about it. Again, the system rewards them for doing this. In fact, I don't know exactly how this works, but I know that, basically if you have kids, if you have one kid with 5 guys, you're getting all this child support, right? You're getting, like, if you have 5 different baby daddies and 5 kids, you're getting all this support. And so women love to find a guy who's, who can support himself, who makes pretty decent money. He doesn't have to be a millionaire. He just has to be a nice guy who makes a decent amount of money. And a lot of women will want to be with that guy, get him hooked, spread the legs, get the kid, and bail out in a few years, right? That's not all women, but there's a lot of women like that. It's a system. It's a system that we've kind of set up and that we've said that's okay. And goodness, I mean, Lord have mercy on your soul if you're, 6 foot, if you look, you have decent looks going on, if you have a good social life, right? I mean, the bar is so low these days, guys. I mean, you don't have to have, a lot of guys think they got to be all these things, which is great, right? You got to motivate yourself. You got to be better. But guys, the bar's pretty low. You can find women that you can sleep with. You can find women who want to have your kids, who probably even want to get married. But going back to compatibility, guys, a lot of those women, when I look back, there was a really common theme. And the common theme was that, first of all, they were kind of like easy, especially once I grew up and I realized how things worked. I was, again, coming from like a church environment. Once I got out, went to college, started kind of living my own life, I kind of bought into the lie that, a woman, she's only submissive, she's only truly for you if she's, sexually submissive. I bought into that ideal. And it was all about pretty much like how fast I could get a woman to sleep with me. I'm not proud of it, but I lived and learned. I genuinely thought that was the manly, masculine thing to do. And some of these women were great, right? Like, some of these women actually had good personalities. They would make a good mother or a good wife to someone. But I started catching on to all these things, man. And one thing I would want to say to young guys out there, if you're younger, right, maybe you don't have as much experience with women, or even if, just in general, don't be so caught up on trying to sleep with women. It's a trap, okay? It's a trap. Because again, all you got to do is get them pregnant, and boom, you have a kid. Thankfully, I don't have any kids. Thankfully, I made it out of that craziness unscathed. But guys, I'm telling you, it's a crazy world, and compatibility is huge. Like, it is truly huge. Once I calmed down, right, especially a couple years back, once I calmed down and just started to live life and had to work on a lot of my own stuff, right, I started to actually see things for what they were, and I started to go, I look back, I look at those times and I go, was that really worth it? Was that really, really worth it? At the end of the day, it was just an ego boost. And I could have had a kid. I could have been trapped, right? Most of these women, in fact, I remember several of these women that I was with who I was trying to prolong being with them. I remember it became very obvious on the first couple of dates that if I made a move, then, something would happen. But I kept wanting to push it off, right? I kept wanting to push it off. I kept wanting to just get to know them. I would keep going out on dates with them. I wouldn't even kiss them because I just wanted to get to know them. I thought they were genuinely cool people. I thought they were genuinely cool. And I was like, man, like, this girl, like, she's actually got a lot going on. But I can't find out these women, man, they just want to pounce on you, right? And coincidentally, those women, once you finally did, they would be very, they would be nice to you, right? They'd want to stick around. They never really said it, but there was something going on there mentally where it's like, dang, like, this dude didn't just want me, even though I was making it very, very clear. And so they do end up admiring you and respecting you and wanting to be around you. They see you as like more long-term material. But when I looked back and I actually thought about it, I was like, dude, if they did that for me, then like, who were they doing that for? How many guys like smashed on the first, second dates, right? How many times did this happen? and I've been guilty of that a couple times as well, which again, I'm not proud of, but it just shows, again, the perspective. It shows the full picture. It shows like what they're really about. And that's what you got to look at, guys. You got to look at like, look, if they're willing to jump on you, especially really quickly, who else are they willing to do that for? And that's why I'm a big proponent, man. Just stay celibate. Just stay celibate, man. Find a good woman. Like, find the woman who, wants to be with you, for you, who doesn't just want to sleep with you, bro. That's what you want. You want to find that good, solid woman who wants to be with you, who puts, and guys, I've seen so many videos out there who, man, all these like alpha males, all these guys, they got a lot going for them. A lot of people out there, a lot of dating coaches, a lot of people who are like way up there. And man, they are constantly trying to find this like perfect unicorn. They're constantly trying to find this good girl. And I've even heard a couple of them say, that they've heard the only way to find these girls is like to find a good religious, God-fearing girl, but they've never personally met any. Well, the thing is, guys, I'm going to be real with you. It's going to be extremely hard to find those really, really, really good, God-fearing women if all you're working on, all you're obsessed about is getting new sports cars, new foreigns, trying to just get a bunch of money. You're going to meet a lot of women. You might meet some decent women, right? But you're going to meet a lot of gold diggers. You're going to meet a lot of women who are just in it for the money. Yeah, you're going to meet some beautiful women. You're going to probably be able to be with a bunch of models. But if you want to find a God-fearing woman, guys, I'm going to be real with you. Most of the time, you're going to have to go to a church of some kind. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a certain denomination. There's non-denominational churches. You can go to Catholic church, but I wouldn't recommend going to these churches just to find a woman, right? Personally, if I were you, I would try to find some sort of, denomination where you can, worship God, you can serve God. I think for everybody that might look a little bit different, right? I'm not one of those people that says, this church, this whatever is the only way to go. But I would say that you're better off trying to find that spiritual purpose, And I think a lot of times, really, the only times you're going to find that woman you're looking for is in that kind of environment, right? They're going to come from usually maybe more rural areas with, families that, again, they are God-fearing. Usually, maybe they'll have a lot of kids, right? That more traditional, old-fashioned type of family. But yeah, guys, I mean, at the end of the day, most women, guys, they want your time, right? It's not all about money. Money's great. They want to obviously go out on dates and have fun, but a lot of women just want your time. They want your attention. They want the things that go with it. They want the excitement. They want to be a part of your social life. That's why it's important to have all these things, right? Even to find good women, because good women are going to look up to you and they're going to want to be part of your life and they're going to want to have fun, believe it or not, right? I met a couple girls, man, God-fearing women, man, they wouldn't let me do anything. And at the time I was frustrated. I was like, oh my goodness, like what in the world? Your ego is hurt a little bit. And that's why I think a lot of these guys, they don't go for those women, because they'll tell them no, and they believe the lie that a woman only respects you, only loves you if she opens her legs, right? And that's just not the truth. So you have to be realistic with things, guys. You have to see things for what they are. And man, there's so many things. Gosh, guys, I mean, there's so many things out there. It seems like things are getting out of control, especially since 2020, right? Since we've all been on our phones and dating sites have blown up, right? Back in the day, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I was just going to clubs and bars and like parties and stuff, finding girls. It's very easy to be very social and find girls. But again, those kind of environments, you're probably not going to find the best, long-term type of women. But guys, a lot of these women, you got to be careful, man. And I look back, and I wanted to make this video because it kind of, it's been on my mind, but it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks today, because you get so caught up in the feeling, you get so caught up in the experience, you get caught up in what I call the lie, for men especially, about just running through as many women as you can, about, being this, alpha male that doesn't care about women, who, whatever. But guys, I'm telling you, and I swear by it, I've seen it, and it's the kind of life I want. The happiest men are the ones, like I said, who they have all the traits, right? They're kind, they're patient, they like kids, they want to have kids, right? But they know how to be warriors. They know how to protect, they know how to provide. They're masculine, upstanding men who have a social life, who have some sort of standing in their community, who have stuff going on for them. And that's really the way to go. You don't want to get caught up in this heartless lifestyle. It leaves you very empty. I tried living it for a while because I thought it was the way to go, and it wasn't. All right. And depending on if you're religious or not, I really do think God is the way to go. You latch on to God, you pray, you're like, Lord, lead me in the way that I should go. Lead me the way you want me to go in. And then doors will start opening, your path will be straight, your purpose will start to become your mission, everything will just happen. You'll have the drive, the motivation, the belief to keep going. And I really think you will, because I've noticed a huge difference in the women that I attract and the women I'm just not attracted to. It's so weird. The women that I would have tried to, put the charm on and tried to be a little smooth and try to, get their number and all that, it's like I can't do it anymore, because I know I picked up on so many things. I learned so many things. I've heard so many stories. I'm like, it's not even worth it, guys. You know how many guys, again, are getting trapped? You know how many guys are getting STDs? You know how many guys are having their lives ruined, having to pay child support for 18, in some places 20 plus years. I think if you go to college, you got to support your kids till they're like 22 or something crazy. If they go to school, right? You basically got to pay through the child's or the adults at that point. College, it's crazy. You got to think, all right, this system, this world, this craziness, right, whatever you want to call it, it's trying to get everybody trapped and divided. And man, if we would just start thinking with this head, guys, if we just start thinking with this head, I know there's guys out there, I know, especially when you're younger, man, you got a high sex drive, you got a high libido, you want to just be with as many women as possible. But guys, there's a book, I don't know the name of the book, someone in the comments, please let me know, but it talks about in some books, man, something called basically sexual transmutation, which is you can basically channel that energy into other more productive things. You can, first of all, you got to learn to live with it, right? A lot of guys are just living through their primal instincts, living through their little head, and they're not thinking about things big picture. And so they're just, we're hooked, right? We're hooked on the porn, we're hooked on the Instagram models, we're hooked on the OnlyFans, we're hooked on all the scantily clad women, right? We're hooked on the strip clubs, whatever it is, right? We're so visual, we get caught up on that. But if we can learn to channel that energy into productive things, into things that actually mean something for us, into what we want to live out in our lives, guys, that can do so much more. And then we'll actually attract the women that we want to be with, who are actually long-term material. Because guys, believe it or not, I know it seems like it's getting rarer out there, but what I really think is happening in a lot of ways is a lot of guys are just keeping themselves from the dating pool when it comes to these good women. And I know not every woman in church is going to be a God-fearing woman. Trust me, I've been there too. I met some pretty crazy women in church. All right. We're not perfect by any means. You got to take everybody by their character. You got to take them for their words, their actions, everything. Doesn't matter where they come from. But you got to keep it real. You have to keep it real. You got to actually figure out what you want. Good women are going to be waiting for a good guy. All right. And again, you don't have to be religious, but just to have an idea, you can always look at Proverbs 31. The first 9 verses talk about the man. The rest talk about the woman, right? You can read Proverbs in general. It's going to have a lot of instruction for men. But a lot of God-fearing women are going to be waiting for a guy like that. They're going to be waiting for a godly and upstanding man. All right. And even the women that you see out there, these, really good women who settle for these really bad men, guys, I'm going to be real with you. There are women out there who will try to fix you. There are women out there who will try to, they'll basically settle for that kind of guy. But she would rather have the guy who, you know, is masculine, who can provide, who can protect, who's also an upstanding guy, right? Then the guy, because there's always going to be conflict, right? If she just marries the rich jerk, there's always going to be that conflict. All right, there are women who will leave you for cheating on them, believe it or not. There are women who are actually loyal and faithful. And if you start cheating on them, if you do crazy stuff, they're not all going to stay. There are women who will say, no, I am worth not being in this relationship. I'm worth more than this. You're not going to, you know, treat me like that. So that's what I encourage you to do, guys. Don't go waste your time out there partying. Don't go waste your time at the bars and the clubs with all the loose women, man. A lot of people say you should sow your oats, get out there, experience the world for what it is. But man, wisdom's there, guys. Wisdom's there, and it's because of a lot of guys' experiences and videos and stuff that I haven't tried to go and live a even crazier life. All right, it literally just gets crazier and crazier. Like, the women that you meet, the women that you settle for, they just get crazier. And a lot of that has to do with yourself and your mindset, right? But you have to see it for what it is, guys. I can't stress that enough. You're not going to find, it's just crazy how, you know, we've put women on a crazy pedestal, and I actually talked about that in another video, but we've put our feelings, we've put the sexual marketplace, the sexual conquest, all these things, right? We've basically like spun back the feminine narrative, like, on ourselves. You know, it's a weird world that we live in, where, you know, it's every man, every woman for themselves. And guys, I mean, really the best way to live is just to be yourself, be social. I can't stress being social enough. But seriously, try to get into a good environment. It doesn't even have to be church, even though I'd recommend it, man. I would say, hey, look, you can do something like volunteering, get into a good environment with people, right? Get into a good, solid, upstanding environment. But guys, I hope that helps out. I hope that gives you a little bit of wisdom. I hope that's a little helpful in some way, right? Just to share that, because guys, at the end of the day, most of these women, they just want to use you for what you got. All right, so find a woman who's good. Actually test her character. Start thinking about things differently, right? If the majority of things ain't working for most people, that means that it ain't working, right? It means it just ain't working. So don't keep trying to do the same thing over and over. That ain't working. Okay? So, guys, that's what I got for you today. Let me know what you think below. Share your comments, your concerns, your disagreements, your experiences, and I'll be back at you with the next one.